All right, a lot of times what you want to do is you want to create what are called macros, and it's really nice to have those organized. And so I typically put my macros, and macros, if you're new to Flask development, just think of macros as like a reusable piece of HTML. For example, you want your buttons on your application to all look the same, or you want your accordions to all have a similar look. So some piece of HTML that you're going to reuse over and over and over, and instead of putting a button styled in a particular way in each HTML page, you want to organize that and reuse the same piece over and over. So I often put those under templates in what's called components. And so this is where that dot notation comes in handy. So let's say that I'm in my project. So here we are. And I want to create a reusable button that I'm going to use on multiple HTML pages. So in my project, if I pull up my project, under templates, what you would do is you create a folder called components, or whatever you want to call it. I typically call it components. And then you would start putting different HTML files in that folder. And so that's where Flask-Commands is handy, because you can I'll just copy this, do this. So if I want Flask make view, and then the folder name that you're going to use, components, and then if you want an accordion, that will create a folder called accordion, or a file called accordion. If I want accordions, if I want buttons, just change that to buttons. And then let's say selects. So this way, now when I come back to my Flask project, where's my code? My project. There we go. When I come back to my Flask project, here's a folder called components and the files that I just made. You could easily also do this in VS Code if you wanted. If you're just used to the terminal, then this is a way of doing that. They're not wired up. They're not hooked into anything. You're going to use these in other HTML files. That's the idea. All right, we will come back and start looking at, eventually we'll start looking at this nesting and see how we can wire all those up. But we end this section with the right starting point. All right, we'll see you in the next video.